What's up, Myson Jones here with the Playmaker podcast, and I am seeing an influx of people interested in basketball training all of a sudden because you know what time of the year it is. It is August 29th right now of this recording, but tryouts are coming soon, and a lot of kids have dozed or have been Fortniting it up all summer, and they are in a rush to prepare for the tryouts of their respective teams. Now, I think that's normal, that's natural, and I wish it wasn't, but it is what it is. And my reason for having this podcast today is explaining why I think it's reasonable for you to have a basketball trainer, not just 2 months before tryouts, but all year long, if possible. And now, of course, it depends on the degree of seriousness that your kid is involved with basketball. If they're doing AAU, if they're trying to get a college basketball scholarship, yes, year-long training. If they're not, it still may make sense to have training on their part. One, because it helps to prevent injury. If you have performance training and basketball training, you know how to make certain movements, you know how to land, how to perform without injuring yourself. That's one that makes sense. The other reason is there are so many lessons off the court that are taught on the basketball court that I think emotionally they sink deeper than are learned in school. Now, we may not know Bloom's taxonomy. I don't know Bloom's taxonomy perfectly, but Bloom's taxonomy is just the different levels of learning that kids are engaged with. And at the bottom, the very bottom, is memorization. And a lot of times they are memorizing things at school. I know it's what I did. That's why I was such a good student without putting in as much work as I should have. But the older you get, the more you have to synthesize and create. And those are the deeper levels of learning. And I think basketball, sports in general, helps you to operate on one of those higher levels of learning, especially with learning how to handle failure, learning how to compete, in which you have to compete wherever you go, especially when you get out into the quote unquote real world. You learn how to manage other teammates, how to appease someone else, a coach per se, and still have your own intentions and desires met too, but how to work together corporately instead of individually like you do in school outside of projects. But basketball is a team sport, and anything else you do soon, especially when you get out of college, is a team sport. I don't know many people who accomplish great things without having some kind of team. But basketball training here, especially if you are serious, man, save so much money when it comes to a college basketball a scholarship. I know for me, I did not have a trainer all year long, but I did have someone who I could see at least once a month. And seeing that person once or twice a month helped me to stay tuned, to have some maintenance along with my basketball game. And of course, the scholarship for the school I went to was well over six figures, 100K. So to me, I think it was worth it for whatever money I dished out for, or I say my grandmother dished out for AAU, for training. And the big thing is, I had a time where I had to convince my grandmother that it was worth it. She was ready to drop the ball because there was so much drama between the high school and the AAU team, and which one should you play for during the June times, and getting kicked off the AAU team. And there is drama. We're not going to hide that, but it's worth it. It's worth it for sure, especially if your kid loves basketball and they want to play further. It doesn't have to always be for a scholarship, but the best times that I've ever had, or some of the best times I've ever had, have been with my college basketball teammates. That experience, I miss competing, but I can compete now. But that camaraderie and developing those bonds with a team is something that, man, it's hard to quantify. It's hard to put a value towards. So that can be at the college level, or that can be at the high school level too. But at the end of the day, I think it's worth having a trainer because you learn decades of wisdom in a few days. I mean, literally, like, you learn so much knowledge. And if you apply it, especially if you apply it, you speed up the learning curve times 10. Like, I know 7th graders beating 10th graders and ninth graders right now because they have more knowledge. They're not as physically gifted as them, but they are smarter. They know certain nuances that are only learned when you have a trainer or somebody who really, really, really knows what's going on. So just something cathartic for me, thinking about how I'm helping my student athletes to compete at a higher level against older competition. It's the same thing we all need. We all need a trainer. We all had parents, hopefully had parents growing up. We had coaches, we had teachers, we had people who were guiding us along the way. And it's the same with your kid when it comes to basketball, something that they enjoy doing. And there's more enjoyment when you have competency, in my opinion. So that's my rant. That's why I think it's worth having a basketball trainer. You learn decades of wisdom. You learn things on the court that you probably would not learn inside of the classroom. And you know what? If it's really something that you're passionate about and your kid's passionate about, you could possibly get a full ride to school or get partial scholarships and have an experience of a lifetime. So thank you for tuning into this podcast. Hope you enjoy it and catch us on the next one. And let me know if you like the live session. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm actually doing this on the video form right now. So trying some things out. Thank you all for the patience and thank you all for the attention. I know that it is the most important asset and there are a million things going on right now. So thank you for listening and I will catch you on the next one.